The European Commission has published new technical guidelines for ensuring the climate compatibility of infrastructure projects in the period 2021 to 2027. The guidelines will help ensure that future investments in infrastructure project development, from buildings and network infrastructure to a wide range of building systems and assets, and that they take into account climate considerations throughout. In this way, European institutional and private investors can make informed decisions about projects that are compatible with the Paris Accord and the EU's climate goals. The guidelines adopted last week will therefore help the EU implement the European Green Deal, meet the requirements of the European climate law, and make EU spending more environmentally friendly. They are in line with a path to reduce greenhouse gas emissions by 55% by 2030 and to achieve climate neutrality by 2050, and are based on the principles of energy efficiency first and avoidance of significant impairments, and meet the requirements set out in legislation for various EU funds such as InvestEU, the Connecting Europe Facility, the CEF, the European Regional Development Fund, the ERDF, the Cohesion Fund, the CF, and the Just Transition Fund, the JTF. Climate change is already having an impact on long-life assets and infrastructures such as railways, bridges, or power plants, and these effects are likely to increase in the future. For example, construction in areas likely to be affected by sea level rise requires special attention. Likewise, with regard to the heat tolerance of railway tracks, the forecast rising maximum temperatures must be taken into account rather than historical values. It is therefore of crucial importance to clearly identify those infrastructures that are adapted to the requirements of a climate neutral and climate resilient future, and consequently to invest in them. Ensuring climate compatibility is a process that includes measures to contain climate change and to adapt to its consequences in the development of infrastructure projects. The technical guidelines adopted last week set out common principles and procedures for identifying, classifying, and managing physical climate risks in the planning, development, implementation, and monitoring of infrastructure projects and programs. The process is subdivided into two pillars: containment and adaptation to climate change, and two phases: that screening and detailed analysis, whereby the documentation and verification of the type of safeguarding of climate compatibility play a decisive role in the justification of investment decisions. In particular, in the case of infrastructures with a lifespan beyond the year 2050, the operation, maintenance, and final decommissioning should take place in accordance with the guidelines in a climate-neutral manner, which can also include aspects of the circular economy such as recycling or the conversion of materials. The climate resilience of new infrastructure projects should be ensured through suitable adaptation measures based on an assessment of the climate risks. The new technical guidelines for ensuring the climate compatibility of infrastructure projects were drawn up by the Commission, but in close cooperation with potential implementing partners for InvestEU together with the EIB group. They are primarily intended for project promoters and experts who are involved in the preparation of infrastructure projects. They can also be kind of a useful reference document for authorities, implementing partners, investors, stakeholders, and others. Based on the experience with ensuring the climate compatibility of major projects in the period of 2014 to 2020, safeguarding climate compatibility in the present guidelines is also merged with the procedures of project cycle management, the so-called PCM, environmental impact assessment, the EIA, and strategic environmental assessment, the SEA, and recommendations are made to support national procedures to ensure climate compatibility in the member states. And I'll see you in my next video. Bis gleich.